2022 is here, and so is Brazil's presidential election campaign. While Brazilians will only go to the polls in October, the field is already looking well defined, split between three candidates. Welcome to the last episode of Brazil Rewind, a mini-series recapping the stories that defined Brazil in 2021. Today, we'll look at the rise of the three leading candidates for Brazil's presidential election next year: Jair Bolsonaro, Lula, and Sergio Moro. Throughout his presidency, Jair Bolsonaro has made his re-election plans clear. Back in August, he went as far as to say that he can only envision three alternatives for his future: prison, death, or re-election. Note that not one of those possibilities entertained by Bolsonaro involved losing the 2022 election by democratic means. Throughout his time in office, Bolsonaro has worked to delegitimize Brazilian institutions, especially the Supreme Court. He has cast doubt over the country's electoral system, frequently saying that the 2018 election was rigged, even though he won, and lobbying for the return of paper ballots to replace Brazil's renowned electronic voting system. But Bolsonaro's pandemic management and the state of the Brazilian economy have put the incumbent's re-election chances in doubt. In December, government approval ratings fell to 21%, while outright rejection was as high as 50%. However, perhaps the biggest hit to Bolsonaro's chances of another term came with the emergence of his opponent, former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. In March, Supreme Court Justice Edson Fachin quashed all corruption convictions against Lula, meaning the centre-left icon was once again free to run for the presidency. Since leaving prison in November 2019, Lula has been laying the groundwork for what he hopes will be a triumphant return to the presidency. Back in October, the Brazilian Report's Amanda Algi explained how Lula's tone has changed from upfront opposition to a more moderate approach, something closer to the peace and love Lula that won him the first election 20 years ago. The former president is betting his chips on this more moderate iteration of himself in the hope of winning over sectors of the country that he believes will be crucial to winning next year's vote: the economic elites and the mainstream media. As a result, Lula has been getting himself in the public eye, appearing on popular talk shows and podcasts. And the strategy appears to be working. Mid-December polls showed the former president on course for a landslide first-round victory. Finally, in November, to the surprise of some, former Justice Minister Sergio Moro confirmed his own pre-candidacy for presidency. Back in April 2020, Moro left Bolsonaro's cabinet, claiming that the president was interfering in the federal police administration. As a judge, Sergio Moro cultivated a reputation among right-wing voters as a law-abiding anti-corruption crusader. This was largely because he was the judge who pursued and convicted Lula in a pair of corruption cases, sentences which have since been quashed. In March of this year, the Supreme Court ruled that former Judge Sergio Moro was biased in his sentencing of Lula, disgracing Moro's image and taking all cases against the former president back to square one. Regardless, Moro seems to be the only credible option for Brazilians seeking to avoid the Bolsonaro-Lula dichotomy. However, he is polling far behind the two frontrunners. As things stand, Lula has a clear lead, but the election is a long way away. Lots can change in Brazil over the space of 10 months, not to mention during economic crisis and a global pandemic. If you want to stay up to date on all the most important election stories in Brazil, stick with us at Brazilian.report. Like, share and subscribe for more videos on everything Brazil.